Welcome back to the 150K podcast. I'm your host, Joe Graham, where we help take your dreams to six figures and beyond. Today, I have with me special guest Greg Birtch of the Beat of the Different podcast, Delta Financials. We met through a mutual friend, Philip Sessions, who talks a lot about being on stage, speaking, and all that. And he said, "Hey, you need to meet Greg." So I'm getting to meet Greg right now. So, Greg, I don't know much about you. My audience doesn't know much about you, but tell us a little bit about your background, what you do, and who you help.
Yeah, definitely. So first and foremost, thank you for having me on the show, Joe. I appreciate it. It's an honor and a pleasure. So a little bit about me. I am originally from Tennessee. I grew up youngest of six. I wanted to go in the military. So, I got my ROTC scholarship. I commissioned as an officer. I served 11 years in the Army, deployed to both Iraq and Afghanistan. And, after about 11 years, I realized that I wanted to try other things. I wanted to kind of go on business for myself. So I got out of the military in 2017 and I got my insurance license in 2017. And I started doing insurance and working for myself as an independent insurance broker. I've been to every level of insurance sales, from brand new agent that's terrible to new agent that's getting good, and to agent that's a top producer. Building an agency. And then, I jumped around a little bit, and I finally decided that what I was looking for was something I wanted to create myself, which was a company focused on leadership, on core values, being selective, and having high training in order to make sure that every agent gets what they need.
No, I love that. So you went from, like most people do, you get into the sales career
Yeah.
and you suck, and everyone sucks in the beginning. So don't worry, that's just how life is. And then
Yeah.
you built up and you started getting better. Then you got really good. Then you started your own business. And now it sounds like you empower people in that niche to do better and be the best insurance agents they can be, morally, ethically, that whole
Absolutely.
9 yards. I love that. I
Yes,
love that.
sir.
So how long have you been in business then?
Well, I've been doing insurance for 5 years now. It was 5 years, October of 2017. So 5 years this October. And I've owned Delta Financial. I've been the president of Delta Financial, and I started it in this year, in 2022. So started at the very beginning of April. So, but I've been 1099, and I had an entity that I was getting paid into and working as a self-employed person. I've been doing that since 2017.
Gotcha. Yeah, being able to build your own dreams, your plans, your life by design. So I like that.
Yeah.
Had like some principles or some things that you built your corporation and company on. What are
Yeah.
those key factors for you with like an insurance agent and helping them become a good salesperson?
So, man, so this is just the insurance industry. So I don't know who all watches your podcast, but I'll be kind of frank and candid. Something that I noticed in other sales industries may be very similar, is there was a high turnover rate, like a really high turnover rate for insurance agents. So in the insurance industry, it's close to like 95% of people don't make it. Yeah. It's terrible. And about 5% of people will actually make any modicum of money. 95% won't. And I don't blame the people, because selling an insurance policy really is not that difficult. Like, it's not that hard, right? It's just like, you just have a conversation with somebody and you write up an application, right? So, most of the challenges comes with the fear of starting, comes with that, having the knowledge, having the confidence that you know enough, buying leads, making dials, setting appointments, right? That's the hard part. If I can get you in the home, there's people that are going to sell you just like they have a check taped to their forehead. Like, it's just going to happen. So I was always very like intrigued by this, that in previous companies, they were like, hey, you got to hire 100 people to get 5 writers. And I was like, why don't I hire 5 writers and get 5 writers? 5 people get 5 writers, like, why don't I have a weeding out process to really like, A, make it something that it challenges them and they're up for the challenge. B, be selective and make sure that they are in line with what I want to build and what I'm building here, and having a vision and a mission and a company culture that they can get behind. Because if it's in line, it's in alignment with them, and we are in alignment with them, then it's a multiplication factor in terms of their performance. It's way better. So, because then everything they do they're doing because they want to, but it's also in line with what the company wants, right?
Mhm.
So I figured if I can have these factors on the front end to be very selective to weed them out, then I could create a training platform that would challenge them, and it would challenge them just enough. And the way I see it is the military is very good about, all services are very good about taking in individuals all across the nation.
Mhm.
And no matter where they come from, no matter their socioeconomic status, their history, their religious background, doesn't matter. They can take them from anywhere, and they can break them down to the basic elements, and they
Yep.
can train them to be part of that. They can indoctrinate them. They can put them in that culture to where they can move, shoot, and communicate and go deploy
Yep.
and serve as America's men and women, right?
Mhm.
So I know the process that they do. I've been doing, I spent so much time in the military. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, how do I emulate that into a sales program where I can kind of break people down enough that it challenges them, but it's also, oh, I'm sorry, my camera does that. It's like an
Oh, you're
OBS
good.
bot.
You're good.
So it challenges them enough that it really forces them to level up, right?
Mhm.
But it can't be too much. It has to be attainable.
Mhm.
It can't be too challenging. So I also got to make sure that they're up for the challenge, because if they're not up for a challenge, it's kind of a waste. So when I put all these things together, what it really does is it's this perfect like marriage of all these things coming together, so that when somebody does come through, they get selected, they come through, eventually what's going to happen is they'll get to my training platform, which is really, really, really hectic, right? And then when they get out, what I've had like, it's a high percentage of people, right? Like 95% of people that get through my training platform write
Mhm.
business.
Yeah.
And I attribute it to all the factors that I put in all together. And it's, I mean, I focus a lot on mindset, because mindset's everything. If you could have the best leads, you could have the best training, you could have the best sales manager, or whatever you want to call it, upline. But if you don't have the right mindset, you're still going to mess it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every
100%.
single time.
Yep.
So
Yeah, no, I've been in the sales world for 16 years. That's my game. Like I do sales. So people that listen to this podcast are either like entrepreneurs, building their businesses, sales professionals, B2B, that type of stuff. And I
yeah,
agree with you. It's like about an 85 to 95% turnover rate in sales. Like if you stay in a role for 2 years, you're an expert because that guy left and that guy left and that girl left and all. But you said something that I think is key that people miss. Success is boring. It's doing the correct things over and over, knowing the end result is going to be there. The
yeah.
prospecting, the calling, the gathering of the leads, the buying lists, to getting in front of people so that you can get into the home. Because once you're in the home, especially with your industry, you're going to buy from some. So no, I like that a lot.
And that's always that's a challenge I face right now. Obviously, being a president of Delta Financial, I'm like, how can I help my agents to get in front of more clients? Like,
Mhm.
how can I expedite that hardest part of prospecting, which is the most challenging part of sales? Because if you could just sit in front of people all day long and that's all you had to do, you're going to sell eventually.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's easy. That part's the easy part. Yep.
very easy. It's not hard at all. So it's just having that confidence to go prospect, right? Something I do, like, I don't know if you know, I mean, I'm wearing a shirt. I'm a big 75 hard fan, big Andy
Yep.
for
Yep.
Sale fan.
Love Andy Frisella.
I'm actually in Live Hard right now. I'm in phase 3 of Live
Nice.
Hard. And I actually have my agents do stuff with me, and I'll be like, hey, in phase 3, one of the really things I really, really like, one of the tasks is that you have to go have a conversation with a stranger
Mhm.
every day. And so I think that's a great tool to help you with communication.
Yeah.
Communication is probably both written and verbal are two very undervalued skills for sales professionals. Like being able to move people just with typing out an ad set or an ad
Mhm.
copy on Facebook, or doing warm market, or being able to get on video on a reel and talk about the excitement you have with the products that you're selling, and being able to do that consistently over time. Your belief in the way that you communicate is going to transfer to those people that watch it, and you will attract people eventually. It just takes time.
Mhm.
And so teaching people to have better communication skills through reading and writing daily, but also going out and just talking to a stranger, just start a conversation with somebody. The more you do that, the butterflies and the nerves is the same exact thing you get when you go to call a lead, you know, and you're like, oh, I don't want to get on the phone. It's because you've never talked to them before. It's because you're not used to talking to a stranger. So getting used to doing this, there's nothing involved. You just go up, say hi, shake your hand. Hey, my name is Greg. How are you? How's it going? Like, how long have you lived here? You know, like I just got done talking to a random neighbor I've never met before because I live in this neighborhood. I've lived here for 3 years. I don't know any of my neighbors. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go around door to door and go talk to all my neighbors and introduce myself and learn something about them, right? And it's not that bad. Like,
No.
I know the nerves. I have it too, but I'm just like, what's the worst that can happen? They like get off my doorstep.
Yeah, they say
like,
no. They tell you no. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree with you 100%. I think a lot of times people get so caught up in it. What are they thinking about me? People don't care. Like people don't really care about you. They don't take this wrong, but when you're selling something and you're transferring the energy, they don't care about you. They care about, does your product help them? Can it meet a need? Does it work for them? And a no now does not mean a no forever. It just might be timing. So once you can shift that mind frame, like I talked to a buddy that was doing detailing because you were talking about this, made me think about it. And I said, bro, it's not about you. If they say no, it's no big deal. He took that one little concept and went from making like 500 a month to 20,000 just because he was willing to take the concept and realize it's not about me. I'm just offering my service. And I think that fits really well with what you're talking about with your agents. You know, the more people you talk to, the more you get involved, the better. Yeah, I've done 75 hard twice. Like I've completed it twice. I've tried it 6 times. I've completed it twice. Once in the summer and once in the winter. I'm here in Texas. I think you are as well. The winter was easier than the summer. The summer is brutal.
Yeah, summer is brutal. Summer is brutal. I was in phase 1 during the summer and phase 2 during the summer. So I finished I think I finished phase 2 in August, and I did phase 1 like in June or something like that, June or July.
Yeah,
it was June. It was June and then August. Yeah.
Yeah, I did the original, just the 75 hard. I've not completed phase 1 or that part.
I'm thinking of
doing it. Yeah, it was one of those. I actually technically could still do it because I'm still within the year. I just haven't done the phase 2 and all that yet. I should. I'm with you.
Yeah. Phase 3. I'm gonna be honest. I did not want to do phase 3. I was like, man, all these extra tasks and like it's the end of the year and this, that, the other. And my business is cranking. I'm like busy. And I'm just like, man, I'm just making a bunch of excuses.
Yep.
So now I'm definitely doing it. So
well, but that's the good thing, and that's what I think a lot of business people need to understand. It's not the big wild things that we do. It's the little simple tasks that we do every day that make us win and make us last. Because like you said, 95% of salespeople fall, 90% of entrepreneurs fail, and I think it's always in the little, not the big things that they mess up.
Yeah. I do. I agree 1,000%. And I talk to agents all the time about the fundamentals of sales, because most salespeople don't actually track the fundamentals. And for us, our fundamentals, and it's probably across the board for all sales, but for insurance, there's 3 things that I talk about. Okay. There's knowing your metrics. That's knowing like, and hey, how many dials does it take you to get in contact with somebody? How many contacts does it take to get set an appointment? How many appointments does it take to get a sale? What's your average closing ratio? What's your average? How much are you closing per sale on average, right? So those are like kind of the basics, but then I can break it down to so many other intricate numbers based on the lead type, based on if you're self-generating leads, based on, if you're texting or calling or whatever. Like we can start to break these down to multiple different formats. So, but ultimately it's your stats, right? So you should get to a point where you're like, man, if I buy these 30 leads, I know those 30 leads with my work ethic and what I've done. I know those 30 leads because I've used them so many times. I know how to run them, is going to generate $7,000 of income. Boom, done. Like it should be that easy. And when you know your numbers and you track them on a daily, weekly, monthly basis for a long period of time, the numbers will tell you a story, and they'll tell you exactly where you have to work, or like where it's almost like a funnel, right? Where at the top of the funnels, like you buying the leads, and then the calls, and then the contacts, and then the set appointments, and the show appointments, and then so on and so forth. So as you go through the funnel all the way down to client, as you go through, you can see percentages, and you'd be like, man, my percentage here is not that great. Maybe at the top of the funnel, like from how many leads I get to how many I get contact with, it's not that great. Let me go and play with this and tweak this and see how I can raise my contact ratio. Well, it raises everything that's below in the funnel. Everything else raises. So knowing your numbers, you can really play with that a lot. So you have to know your baseball card stats is what I call it. Next is you have to set goals. You have to know where you want to be, right? And people do not set goals appropriately 9 times out of 10. There's 2 ways I like setting goals, but the first way that I learned about was it was just from a friend. He was like, dude, he showed me he like, hey, on his phone, he literally held up his phone, was like, hey, look, this is my goal. And it was his screensaver. And he's like, I see this every day when I use my phone. I see it all day. I have it taped to my wall.
Yeah,
like,
that's good.
What it does is it constantly reminds him, like, he has to get to work. He has to get to work. And he put his income, what he wanted to sell, what he wanted to make that year, and he blew past it. I did the same thing. And it miraculously, like, this is when I was kind of a baby in insurance. This was in 2018. I was terrible in 2018. I sold maybe $70,000 worth of insurance, right? And I made about 60,000. Yeah. Maybe I think it's right around 60,000 I made. But after everything was said and done, and in expenses and stuff, I actually took home like 40. Yeah. So not great, right? Terrible, actually. 2019, he showed me this at the end of 2018. So this is like Thanksgiving week. Him and I met together, and he was like showing me this, and I was like, man, I gotta do that, because he was just like, dude, I follow fundamentals. So I went home that night, and I wrote down, in 2019, I'm going to make this much money. I'm going to sell $400,000 worth of insurance. I'm going to do this, that, the other. I took a picture of it. I made it my screensaver, my phone. I made it the background. I put it on my wall. Sure as shit, man. Yep. I sold 425,000 in 2019.
Because it went into your subconscious. It made your body go, oh crap, we're supposed to do this. And now it starts doing that thing. And then you did the fundamentals. Yeah. People don't realize the power of that. There's so much power in, well, there's 2 things. You did that, but you also took action toward it. And that's the thing I think people need to remember. So yeah, no, I commend you for that. That's brilliant.
So I did that. And then the second way is, if you've ever read the book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. In the first, I think it's like the first, second chapter, he talks about writing out your goals, and he has a specific structure. It's, what do you want to make? What's the time frame you want to make it by? What are you willing to give up, because you can't get something for nothing? And then what extra are you willing to do in order to get that goal? And so I did this again in April 2021. And I wanted to break a record. I ended up wanting to do 200,000, which had never been done. I wanted to do 200,000 in 1 month. And so I wrote out 200,000 April. I was going to be done by the end of April 2021. This is what I'm getting up. This is what I'm doing. Boom. I put it on my wall. I said it every morning when I woke up. And I said it every evening before I went to sleep. And I visualized so I could actually have the feelings of it going into my bank account, like all the success I was going to have, the people I was going to be a hub from, like the things I was learning, the experience I was going to gain, et cetera, et cetera. But that caused feelings, which helps to lock from your conscious to your subconscious to help drive your actions. And man, sure as hell, sold 225,000. Never been done before.
You always do 25,000 more than what your goal is.
Yeah, bro. I don't know what it was. So goal setting is very important, and a lot of people don't. That is like, that's actually like kind of high level advanced sales leadership training. And if you know anyone that's like a 7, 8, 9 above figure, they write goals like that. Like they have vision boards, they write goals. They're very big on it, because it's very much the law of attraction. You put out in the universe what you want to get, and they understand that concept, because it really is like kind of the metaphysical. And I believe in that stuff now, because I've seen it in proof in my life. So that's the second, is setting goals. The third is controlling your schedule and making sure you're doing the daily monotonous actions that it takes to get from where you are, which is your baseball card stats, to where you want to be, which is your goals. And then your schedule is the route. So it's real basic. It's like planning a route, right? Hey, you got to know where you're at. You have to know where you're going to go, and then you have to pick the route that takes there. And that's your schedule. And that's actually like planning out your calendar, putting actions on there you have to do, backwards planning from the goal all the way back to where you are, and controlling your daily actions. You don't have to work a ton. There's gonna be days that you do, but if you do daily consistent things, like the small things, kind of like you were just talking about, Joe, man, you'd be surprised if you do it every single day. It builds this small little tiny bit of momentum that builds and builds and builds and builds and grows. And it's exponential as it grows more and more. You just have to be consistent. Like, I don't have a day off. I work every single day. Now, there's some days I work less, but I work every single day. And there's certain things that I do every single day to make sure that my business is not losing momentum.
Yeah, no, and that goes into what Andy Frisella talks about all the time,
Yep.
having your task, your power task that you have to do. And when you
Yep.
said that, and I like baseball, so that baseball analogy, you want to go from the minors to the majors, and the only way you do that is doing the, things you need to do each and every day. So I love that. Like, really, it's almost like you're reading my sales script. So like, I teach sales, and what you're talking about is a lot of the stuff I teach people in B2B. It's just most people don't want that. They want the big, sexy, oh, we did this one great thing, and in reality, it's never that.
It
You're
never
you
is.
Yeah.
It never is.
Yeah, in 5 years, you become who you are, but someone's gonna look and go, "Oh, Greg's an overnight success," and you're gonna go, "I just worked my ass off for 5 years. That was
Yeah.
not an overnight success." But yeah, I love that, man.
It's absolutely right, man. Everyone always thinks it's like absolute, like, where's this person come from? I can promise you this right now. If someone does come, if they're literally an overnight success, it's not going to last forever. It's probably a fluke, and I've seen a lot of overnight successes that were agents in the industry that came in, started writing a ton of business, and then disappeared. And then you find out later on they were writing bad business and it was all fraudulent. And like, there's a bunch of chargebacks and like roll ups going to the upline and all this stuff. And you're just like, dude, that sucks.
Yeah.
But it happens. So I'm usually very fearful of people that looks like they have it easy. They're not really trying and they're just selling a lot. Then you're like, dude, what are you actually doing here?
Yeah.
Because if you're not doing the work and you're somehow getting all these sales, that's a problem, right? It doesn't exist. It's not possible. Something else in the magic, not the magic thing big, Think and Grow Rich, is he kind of talks about the law of entrepreneurship and law of success and the ladder that you have to climb. And he's like, it's almost like there's an invisible force that will not let you get so far unless you do the work and you climb the ladder appropriately. Like, if you try to skip steps, this invisible force will keep you where you're at without letting you get any further until you go back and you put in the reps.
Yep.
And I dude, it's 100% true, because as an entrepreneur and a salesperson, especially as a baby salesperson, you just come on board, you're brand new, the challenge you're having right now are preparing you to grow your business, because now you're going to help other people get through that. If you've never been through that, you're not going to be able to hire people and bring them and teach them how to get through it.
Yeah.
And the problems you have, like that, when I started an agency and I started hiring and I had my own agency within a company, the problems I had then were more difficult. They were more intense and probably more frequent than when it was just me as an agent. But I was well equipped to handle them because I'd been through an agent. And now me as an IMO, like, now that I own my own company, it's far vastly different, right? And but I'm prepared because I knew what it's like to grow an agency, to build a team, stuff like that. So I can teach my agency owners, like, this is what you have to do. It's just you have to go through those steps in order to be able to accept and attain the challenges that you're going to have at the next level. Andy Frisella talks about this too. He talks about, it's like disposition before position. You have to be able to do the job and do the work before you actually get the title.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, and I think, again, it just goes back to, like, you're talking about the overnight successes. Yeah, maybe they'll have a video that goes viral or do something crazy, but they don't have the support system or the way to capitalize or take advantage and help people with it because they just got lucky with some random thing. Whereas when you're building your systems and processes and you've grown it over time, if you have a video or something that goes viral or something that you're putting out there, you have the capacity to hold it, because the universe does look at you on that, like, okay, cool. Can you actually handle that? And you can't skip steps, just like with the workouts, like with, lifting weights and stuff. You don't start out lifting, 50, 60, 80, 100-pound dumbbells. You start with 5s and 10s because that's where you're at. Just from there and go from there. It doesn't mean it's bad. Grow and build. I love that a lot.
Yeah. It's just put in the work, put in the reps, right?
Yeah. But and people always think there's some magical formula. Like, I've won multiple awards and they're like, well, what is your secret? And it's what we've talked about. I make the calls, I do the emails, I do the follow-up, I stay in the business, and I've become an expert now because I'm always there. And that's
Mm.
what it sounds like was with you. You started out and now you have your own business and you're growing from there. So let's do this because I love the sales talk. Let's shift to the podcast a bit. So with your podcast, is that based on helping insurance agents, or is it niche that way, or is it more mindset and helping businesses and entrepreneurs
It's
overall?
businesses, entrepreneurs, sales professionals overall, because it's sales, leadership, mindset, marketing advice, everything under sun when it comes to being an entrepreneur. I am obviously I have to do with insurance, and I have more experience with insurance, but sales tactics are sales tactics. It's
Yep.
just influence. It's the same across the board. And leadership, oddly enough, leadership and sales tactics are very close and very similar,
Yep.
because as a leader, you're just selling an idea, you're selling a concept, you're selling them to be able to move and act and do something that they would not normally do without your presence, without your influence. It's influencing. That's all you're doing. And I mean, there's other nuances when it comes to leadership that are going to be a little bit different, but for the most part, a lot of the tactics and strategies that you use as a leader, they're going to be very similar to having a very good sales tactics and strategies. So I do 3 episodes a week. One episode is me usually talking about one of those 4 topics,
Mhm.
and teaching whoever, the audience. Another is a kind of a leadership based, where I sit down and I talk with one of my agency owners, and we have a discussion and just talk about whatever and that they want to, whatever problem they're having that they're overcoming, and how they're overcoming it, and we discuss it. So it's like other agents can learn,
Mhm.
and other people that are building sales teams can learn. And then last is I pull on an entrepreneur or a sales professional or something that's outside the insurance industry, that's crushing it, that's having success, so they can come on, tell their story, talk about the challenges they've had, talk about the mistakes they made, how they learned, etc., and hopefully provide some inspiration in a pathway that shows, like, man, if they can do it, I can do it too,
Yeah,
So,
no, that's good. I like that a lot. How many episodes have you dropped?
uh, today was episode 11,
Nice. Oh, so this is
I
fairly
think.
new.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, keep
Yeah. So
going.
I had done it for a while with a previous podcast. I'd done like over 100 podcasts with a different company.
Mhm.
And then I rebranded it and I
Yep.
made it to mine. So
Oh, good. Yeah, so you understand the game because, like, once you make it past, I think 15, you're in the top 5% because most people quit. Again, kind of like sales success, it's leaving clues here. Like I
yeah.
just dropped episode 103 yesterday. It's
Yeah.
just building that brand and that stuff up. So, what else? What future plans do you have? Like, you got the business you're doing, you have the podcast. Are you looking
Mhm.
to like get into more speaking, more leadership teaching, sales teaching, or are you looking to build a business? Where are you going from here?
Yeah. So I built a sales university that's all online. That's pretty, I mean, it has some insurance stuff, but it could go to other sales industries. So I'm looking to actually create a I guess one-stop shop where people can actually, I can sell it to people, they can get access to it and get access to very high level sales training. Um, I have some very unique concepts. I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of stuff. I'm a student of my game, and I try to
Mhm.
always level up myself and my tactics. And so, pretty good at speaking with people and selling and leadership. And so, I'm thinking about selling that. I haven't made a decision yet because I like it having close hold to my company,
Yep.
to this agent of my company. But I am going to get into speaking. In fact, I've already started. I have spoke before. I just haven't been paid for it.
Mhm.
So I do want to get into paid speaking. And then I'm thinking about doing consulting as well, because I've been able to. So I started Delta Financial. It's 6 months, going on 7 months old. We're already hitting in the 8-figure sales range.
Nice. Mhm.
And so with that, it's now I had a little bit of leg up because I had people that followed me and stuff like that. There's a lot of other factors that are at play here, but I do attribute a lot of it to my organizational leadership skills that I learned from the military, and systems and processes that I put in place, setting up core values, leading with culture, and really like making sure the organizational health from the top down is good. and it makes it to where it's just a better place to work. It was just like the people that are there, they're like all in, you know, and it's a better platform to build off of. So
No, that's good. I like that a lot. I like look forward to seeing you on stages and doing what it is that you want to do to help people, which is kind of why we're in this industry, why we do
absolutely.
sales. Sales is helping. I know a lot of people have a bad thought process on sales, but my goal is to change that. Sales isn't icky, it's just problem solving. It's just helping people.
It's absolutely, that's all it is. And everybody sells, by the way. I love the book
Hmm.
To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink.
Yeah.
Great book. But everybody sells.
Yeah.
So
Yep, we've
yeah,
been selling since we've been little kids. We sold to get our parents to look at us. We sold to get the girl to give us the first kiss. Like,
yeah,
life is a sell. It's just, yeah, it is. I'm with you there. So,
absolutely.
what other words of wisdom, thoughts, stuff that we haven't talked about that you might want to leave with the guests before with the audience before we go? I said guests, but it works.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm big what you're putting down. So we've been hitting this, and I want you, if you're having basics and getting your momentum going in sales, right? Like I was back when, I sat with this guy, and he was it was in 2018, and it was when I was, not doing very well in insurance. And I watched him, and he was crushing it. And I did the same thing. I was like, dude, what's your secret? What's your secret, bro? And he sat down with me, and he just asked me some questions. He was like, hey man, well, what about this? What do you do? How is your lead flow? How many